We actually have a phoner to get to, an expert going to be joining us on the phone. We have the Holyoke City Clerk and also the Registrar of Voters. That is Brenna McGee. Brenna, welcome to the show here on this big day here, Election Day. So first things first, how's it looking in Holyoke right now?
Holyoke had a good start. We definitely saw some lines at our busier polling locations. Maybe the busiest one we heard was in Ward 7. We saw maybe 40 to 50 people lined up at the door waiting to get in when we opened the polls right at 7 a.m. But after the morning rush kind of passed, we kind of are just at a steady flow right now, kind of what we were expecting, considering we had about 30% of our voters vote early. We're at about a 45% voter turnout right now, which is a really great turnout for Holyoke, especially considering it's only noon. And we're expecting it to stay busy pretty much throughout the day, at least a good steady flow throughout the day.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So are you expecting any issues or anything to maybe slow you down? As we were reporting, there have been some long lines in surrounding communities. What are you doing to keep things moving well? Is it that just that early vote that helped?
I definitely think the early voting helped. Voters had a lot of opportunity to vote we had 14 consecutive days of in-person early voting. And then, of course, they had the early voting by mail option, which a good amount of our voters took advantage of. So I think, eliminating some of these lines that we would normally see in a presidential election, I think the opportunity for the early voting definitely helped with those. There's definitely, a good amount of voters that want to vote on Election Day only, and that's great too, but it definitely helps that we've had so many voters already vote to help with some of those lines. Also, considering we're in the middle of a pandemic, we didn't want to crowd people inside the voting locations, so we did have a limited amount of voting booths in each precinct, which also is going to add a little bit to the lines. But our thing was to just have people's safety be the number one priority. And I think a majority of people would be okay with having to wait in a short line opposed to being crowded in a polling location.
That's a good point by you there, Brenna. No doubt about that. Safety is top of mind. So I guess just the final question for you here. What do you expect for even into the evening rush? We've seen the morning commute. Folks are now at work for the most part. They're going to head home. Are you expecting anything? And then also, you have any tips for people if they are going to show up today to do in-person voting? Anything they should have with them?
I do think that come dinner time, the 5, 6 o'clock time, we will see another pretty good sized rush. That's what we normally see on Election Day when folks are getting out of work. They head straight to the polls. So we do sometimes see those kind of, we will see some small lines again. I don't think it will be anything more than what we saw this morning. I think the biggest rush is over at this point. But I do think that people, if they're going to their polling location after work, especially if it's one of the larger polling locations, that they can expect to, have to wait in some small lines. But thankfully, the sun is now shining. It's not raining like it was first thing this morning. So hopefully we can get people in and out pretty quickly.
There you go. Brenna, thank you very much for coming on here, the Holyoke City Clerk, and I hope it's a smooth rest of the day for you over there in Holyoke.